Hey guys, welcome back. This is going to be part 6. I was going to do a short video, but I got this all body work today, so this afternoon actually. So there's probably a few spots I've missed, a couple little chips and nicks I'll find after the first primering, but I want to get a good 3 to 4 coats on this tonight and then let it dry. And while I start working on the pole position cabinet. So we're gonna go get some primer mixed up and we're gonna start putting some primer on this. I'm not gonna run the heat tonight. I don't think it needs it. It's 60 degrees outside. It should be plenty fine for primering. So what we're gonna use for primer is the normal 2K primer that I use from Summit Racing. It's just a 2K urethane primer. It's a 4-to-1 mix. And it gets a little bit of reducer in it, just to thin it out a little bit. Might have to get a new can out because there's not a lot left in that one. We're going to use my primer gun. And this has like a 2.2 tip on it. It's a really big tip. A little bit of dirt in there. Okay, so we're going to get this mixed up. It's a 4-to-1 mix. 4 parts primer, 1 part hardener, and then I put about a half a part of reducer. Now when I use these disposable cups on this primer, I take the filter out, because if you don't take the filter out, it clogs up and then it will quit spraying on you. So we're just going to go 4-to-1 on the cup here, 4-1-1. We're going to take it all the way up to the number 4 if there's enough in here. And you can see how thick this stuff is. I stirred it on the machine for about 10 minutes. It's been sitting for a week or so, so you want to make sure you stir this stuff really well, because if you don't, you'll use all the thin liquid at the top and then you'll be left with some really thick stuff on the bottom of the can, which you'll have to over reduce, and it doesn't work out well. But we're going to take this all the way up to the number 4, which is as high as it'll go on the cup, and I'm going to have to get another can out, it looks like, because I'd like to get a good 3 to 4 coats on that cabinet. I'm just going to do 4, because more the better. It's going to soak into that particle board. It's going to, the more I put on there, the better it's going to sand down. I'm going to leave this upside down so that I can get the rest of that primer out of there after I use up what's in this cup. You can order this stuff right from Summit Racing. A gallon of primer with the hardener and a gallon of reducer is going to run you about $140, but you're going to get a lot of cabinet. You'll probably get 4 cabinets out of this. So if you think about it, if it's $120 divided by 3, you're looking at $40 a cabinet. And this stuff is awesome. It's 2K, so by it being really thick like it is, it's almost as if you put 4 coats on your cabinet, it's like you took Bondo and coated the whole entire cabinet with it. It'll have a ton of build, a real thick layer that you can sand down and make it nice and flat and smooth. So, and this stuff needs to be stirred up really well, because it's, as you can see, it's all thick at the bottom and watery at the top, because the hardener and the reducer right now is at the top of the cup. And all the thick primer is sitting on the bottom. So I'm going to go ahead and get this stirred up, get the fan turned on out there, and we are going to start putting this on. We're going to put it on heavy. So I will be back in a couple minutes. first coat's going to soak in really quickly. So once I get around the whole cabinet, whatever's left in the cup, I'm going to go and start the second coat, and then we'll have to go mix up some more. Spray pattern is not really big. The reason why I have it smaller is so that I put on a heavier coat of primer. Okay, there's a tiny bit left in here, but we're gonna go ahead and fix up some more. Let that sit for a couple minutes. I'm gonna have to get another gallon onto this, onto the shaker, because it's been sitting for a while. So I'm gonna go ahead and get another gallon stirred up, get what's left in here into here, and then wait for that to stir up, and I'll come back and we'll go out there and put a second coat on. Now, there are going to be some imperfections when this is done, which is fine. We'll sand it down. Sanding it down will probably take out most of the imperfections. Whatever's left, what little bit's going to be left, we'll hit it with a little bit of that dolphin glaze putty with the hardener, and then we'll bring it back in the spray booth and put 2 more coats of primer on it. And then at that point, it'll be ready for final sanding and paint. So after tonight, this is just going to sit in the spray booth. Tomorrow evening, I'm going to start stripping down the pole position cabinet. So I'll be making another video on that, getting that stripped down, starting to get the bodywork done, so that this weekend I can get the pole position painted, or I'm sorry, primered, and then get the Paperboy cabinet sanded, fixed up, and reprimered this weekend, so that I might even be able to get pole position reprimered on Sunday as well. We'll see how it goes. So let me get this mixed up and transferred over, and I'll be back. Before I put this on the stir machine, look at how much clear is on the top of that primer. That's all like a resin type material that makes up this primer, urethane, whatever it is. So we need to stir it for a good 10 minutes before I can mix it up. Okay, I'm gonna let this dry for about 10 minutes, and I'm gonna put the next 2 coats on, and then we'll come back and take a look at it. Found a couple spots I missed. We'll go over it after I get these last 2 coats on. Okay, I got 4 really heavy coats of primer on here, and it's looking extremely good. Once this gets sanded, a little bit of touch up on the bodywork and a reprimering, it's gonna look perfect. You can see a little bit of indentations from a little bit of the resin left over on the wood, which that'll all sand out. I really concentrated on putting heavy primer on these edges, and I'm going to do that again when I reprimer it, trying to seal up all the edges of the particle board just to keep moisture from getting back into it ever again. There is a nick right here I missed, so I loaded up some extra primer right there. I'll probably have to mix up a little bit of filler for that. And then around the back here, I didn't mess with this. I need to take a razor blade and cut back that vinyl that's bubbling out right there and do a little bit of body work to it just to smooth it out. But that's where it's at. This is gonna sit for a few days now and just dry. And then I'm going to move on to the pole position tomorrow night. Start stripping off that artwork. Somebody had mentioned that the artwork on the pole position is screen printed. Regardless if it is or it isn't, it will come off with a razor blade, just like the artwork came off of this cabinet with a razor blade. So we will work on tomorrow night stripping off, taking the T-molding off and getting the artwork off, and possibly doing a coat of fiberglass resin around the perimeter, just like I did with this cabinet. As you can see, last night's video on this cabinet, how well that resin hardened up the edges of that cabinet, because once I sanded that resin down and did my body filler around it, it worked perfect. It never chipped away or flaked or anything like that. That one chip on the other side was my fault when I was moving the cabinet, and I didn't notice it until it was in here. So it is what it is. That's not a big deal. That happened with the dolly, but that's an easy fix. Let me actually go back out there real quick and show you the edges up close of the cabinet, and you'll see what I'm talking about. Now, if you look up close, you see how nice and straight these are, and that's because of that fiberglass resin. Really seals up the edges of this particle board and stiffens it up. So it's going to be a really nice cabinet when it's done. It's going to look brand new, and that's what I'm going for. It's a little rough in here, and I'm debating if I'm going to use some automotive seam sealer or not and fill those in. We'll see how it looks after the next primering. So, all right, guys, well, that is going to end part 6 of the Paperboy. We are getting there. I can't wait until the cabinet is painted and in the basement, and then we can slowly start putting it back together. And pole position, I'm hoping next week to start getting it. You know, next week we're going to get both of these painted and start getting them put back together. So if you guys are liking what you're seeing, please like, subscribe, share, hit the thumbs up. Any questions or comments, feel free to ask. Other than that, I will see you guys tomorrow night. Thanks, guys.